Hey, welcome to the Uncle Jamar Show. And for any of you who are confused by what that means, it is a new show. Uh, it's just going to be me and guests, but it's going to be on uh, Porch Talk YouTube page and all that stuff. Um, so tonight for our inaugural show, we figured it'd be easier just to have the co-host of Porch Talk, Cameron Barbetto, with us just to see how this goes. But what's up, Cam?
How you doing, man? It's good being back on here with you. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Uh, I think this is a good idea just to get didn't want to have any kinks out, get all the way, just have you on, kind of let people know what we're going to be doing. Porch Talk's not going anywhere necessarily. It's just schedules and life gets in the way. So I'm going to be doing a new show, like I said before, the Uncle Jamar Show. Um, but it's going to be on all our Porch Talk platforms. We talked about that. But Porch Talk added itself, me and you, if we record, if we can, it's still going to be Porch Talk. Um, we're also open to the possibility of having other shows on Porch Talk, but it's all going to be from that original studio, I guess you want to call it. But this is a new one. This is Uncle Jamar's show. I'm Uncle Jamar. So our first guest is, as I said, the co-host of the Porch Talk podcast and uh, one of my really good buddies, teacher at Honeacre Elementary School, right? Husband, father, Cam Barbetto. Welcome to the Uncle Jamar show, Cam.
Thank you, man. I just want to say that, just to kind of echo what you're saying, yeah, I mean, this show is going to be kind of under the umbrella of Porch Talk, and I'm super excited, to not only be a part of it today with you, but also just to watch the future episodes. I think that it'll be a really good place for good conversation when it comes to sports and life. And I think that, and I'm sure we'll get into this as the episode goes on. I think there's a lot of great local sports pages out there now. I feel like we kind of were among some of the first. But I think what your idea is that, like I said, you're going to get into explaining. I think your idea with this Uncle Jamar show and what you plan to bring with it, I think is unique. And I think it's something that a lot of listeners will really enjoy.
Yeah, we're not really. I mean, the plan is to not be set in any kind of real, like, not sports, not anything. I'm just going to, whatever I want to talk about or whatever if I have a guest on that I'm interested in or whatever people want to hear about, we're just going to talk. I mean, I don't know how long this will go on. I don't know how often I'll do it. It's just kind of, luckily, the one silver lining about not getting, like, we're not getting paid, not making money on this is we don't have to treat it as a job. We can treat it as, or not as a job, but we don't have to treat it as in, hey, we got to do one this week to get extra money in. Um, I can just do it whenever we want. So that's the one good thing about not getting any revenue from this. Also, it can make you a little lazy. I know, when maybe that's too tired this week or don't feel like it or whatever. You're like, I'll just record next week. That's one thing that we ran into with Porch Talk is we were just so busy and it's hard to make yourself sit down and do it. But I'm gonna try to. This won't be a very long podcast either. I think it'll be maybe an hour an episode. I don't know. Depends. We start talking, get a guest in that won't, it's interesting. We might go longer, but that's the plan.
Yeah, and I guess I meant to mention this too. As you said that it's going to be under like the Porch Talk thing, whenever it's uploaded, if I'm not mistaken, it'll go on the Porch Talk page, right?
Yeah, I think
And
it's how we're
yeah,
set would work out. Like we're still using the Porch Talk Facebook
yeah,
page and the YouTube or whatever. If we do that and Spotify, whatever, wherever we find everything at, it'll be on there. It'll just be labeled. I guess we're gonna label it Uncle Jamar Show
sure.
episode
Yeah,
whatever. I guess, but
and so like with that, guys, as you're watching Jay Moore's show, um, right there under the same like label pretty much, or under the same episodes, you also have a lot of the older Porch Talk episodes. So I'm sure for some of you guys that, especially, I know we cover some sports around this area, but we also had a lot of like really good guest episodes too. Like you can go back and like watch those and stuff too. So it's right all there together. And so that's also a good little benefit to it.
yeah, I forgot to mention you're also a co-host, I guess, or maybe I'm not sure if you co-host. If you're the main host and then you have guests on, how y'all do it. But the Third Hour podcast, which is one of yours, people need to go check out. Forgot to mention that. But that'll be my first question of the interview, I guess, is you got into podcast obviously with me. That was a wild
Mm.
ride, and we figured that out. What's it? How much easier was it moving to the Third Hour podcast and getting that started that you knew like how to go about it, and also if anything, what was harder? Also, I guess about it, if anything.
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, we learned a lot through Porch Talk, and what I know we've talked about it, and you've already mentioned it tonight. Um, at times, it kind of felt like a job because what people don't know is that we would have pretty low budget computers, and we would be doing these episodes, and there would be times. I mean, I can tell you, I remember. Um, Grundy versus Patrick Henry, when Logan Lester ran for like, I don't know, 400
Oh
yards that
yeah,
night or
yeah,
whatever happened.
yeah.
Yeah, that night prior, we had interviewed, I think, my cousin, Carson. We had Logan, or we had like a few different people that we had interviewed that night prior, and we wanted it out that night or that next morning. And I remember that it took me all night till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Then the next day it didn't upload right. And I was up like the whole day, like the next day, probably 4 or 5 hours trying to get it to work. And so when I say that, we learned a lot through that process and endured some uh, struggle when it comes to like, editing and stuff like that. We did. So I did learn a lot there. As far as like the third hour thing, right? So I started uh, kind of my journey of surrendering my life to Christ, and I started thinking like, where can I like try to be effective within the kingdom of like kind of spreading the gospel and doing something, right? And so, like for me, I was like, well, what skills do I have? And I'm 30 years old, 31 years old, and what can I do to try to make some kind of impact? And so I knew how to podcast already, and so we started that up, and it was something that really my wife also Chelsea wanted to get into, and so it happened quickly, turned into some people at church wanted to join in with it. And the idea of it was that we liked to listen to a lot of Christian music. We wanted to give people week to week music like they could check out Christian music. 'Cause there's not a lot of podcasts out there like that. But at the same time, have a lot of like conversations of faith through guests and stuff. Uh, but I will say, for those that happen to have watched that show and are watching this one now, we haven't recorded an episode in it in a minute too. We ended up going through, well, I ended up getting hired on to be a teacher, just like you had mentioned before, and I'm sure I could probably get into that a little bit more here in a little bit. But um, through going through that, going through final exams, praxis tests, uh, busy summer schedule, it kind of pushed us back and we kind of ran into the same issue that like what we were talking about with Porch Talk and trying to keep that week to week episode thing up while also, acknowledging that you're not getting paid for it or anything like that, which is fine. But it's also like when you guys start getting up for work or when you have things you got to do, when you got time you need to spend with family, it does make it kind of hard. And so we're still trying to navigate that, and I think we're going to dial it back and try to do some more just like interviewing some. We got some local preachers and stuff like that we might do, and some local musicians, like Christian musicians. Um, but it's still there, but it's also you know, kind of bogged down a little bit here recently. But it's been a cool journey for sure.
Yeah. Have you all thought about, or you don't have to give anything away if it is in the
Mm.
works, if it's something you're trying to keep, like a surprise. But have y'all thought about doing like at your church, like sitting up there and doing your podcast, like maybe not live, but recording while you have musicians there playing or anything like that? How would that work?
Yeah, so we've done that one time with one of my good friends, Justin Baldwin. If you guys haven't heard of Justin, we had an episode with him on the third hour, kind of shared a little bit of his backstory, but we also had him play two of his songs. At that time, it was right before his song Living Stone came out. And that was kind of our thought process was kind of like the show with Burt Kreischer, right?
Uh,
The like where he's in that living room setting, the music's playing. We didn't really have a living room setting. We were on stage, but he did play a few songs. We haven't got anybody yet. We've had people. We have people that want to
yeah,
do it. We haven't got another one set up yet, but we do have a little back room there that we um, are recording in when we get the chance, and it's still a work in progress. But we're very fortunate to have it. Um, and really just, I got a new computer. Editing has been easier. So we're just blessed to have like some of those things at our disposal, but it's still, you know, we're still not like
yeah,
sponsored by anything
yeah,
and getting paid or having funds come in. So it's still
yeah.
uh you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Um, I guess this is a question I should have known the answer to this, seeing as we're buddies and stuff. But I guess when I'm around you, I don't really think about asking just these kind of questions. But it came to me. What is something you just started teaching for the audience? This is your first year full
Yeah.
time teaching classroom and everything. You can tell everybody what you're teaching, but what is something that has well, not just one thing, but like something that's really, really like surprised you, I guess, about it that you wasn't expecting, maybe, and just how it's going in general. I mean, I know you're enjoying it. I do know that, but
Mhm.
um, I guess every job you go to is new. There's something you don't expect. I'd imagine with teaching, it's probably a lot more than one thing. But just talk,
Yeah.
what's some
Yeah.
things there?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I mentioned it when we were in Porch Talk and stuff before, but I had I worked at the jail before, you know that, but a lot of people maybe don't. Um, so when I first got into the school system, I helped out, but it was more of like an aide, right? And so I did sub and stuff a lot too. So like going into this first year, uh, getting to spend time with the kids and teach them and just all of that. It has been amazing. Uh, but I've kind of been around that a little bit over the last 2 years, which I am so thankful for. It's kind of got me prepared for being in front of them and being able to talk to them. I would say the things that I did not expect, and this is a shout out to the other teachers that have been doing it a while. I did not realize how quickly papers can get stacked up on your desk. I did not realize how quickly grades could get behind, how messy the room can get uh, in just a matter of a few hours. So um, there's a lot there that, not that I knew, I know they work hard. I knew they worked hard even when I was a sub.
Yeah,
Um, but you really don't realize just how much goes on. Um, and at the same time, you don't realize how easy it is to get sucked into like staying after every day
yeah,
and just try to catch up. And so that's been my biggest challenge so far is like trying to get done what I need done, but don't get too sucked into staying after and not being home and trying to get ahead. I just had to
yeah.
try to let it go and know it's gonna come.
Yeah.
So
It sounds a lot like when you hear head coaches talk about people don't know what goes into coaching, about half the stuff that goes into it. You hear them say that people probably look at it like, well, obviously a lot of practice hours, obviously after hour, staying late, whatever, and you got to deal with parents, teach, everything. But there's probably other things in coaching that you just probably irritating stuff also of just like I don't know, just random tasks that you have to make sure this is done or like some kind of paperwork that probably nobody thinks about that will have to be a headache. So I'd say it's probably a lot like that. It's little things you just don't even think people would never even dream about you having to worry about. Added up, a bunch of those is, I can see it being a lot to think about.
sure, and it's always been like my dream, and And I know you know this from way back that I've always wanted to get into coaching and stuff. And I thought going into this year, I was like, well, I might help out with the Little League because I just feel like the greatest need right now because there's a terrific staff. Well, there's a terrific staff at the Little League as well. Who had terrific staff at the high school, and they got uh, many members. Like they got a great big team there, and so I felt like the greatest need might be to help with the Little League. Just they're equipped, they're great at what they do, but I was like, well, maybe I could be a helping hand. You could always, I'm sure, use more. But going into this year, thankfully, I said, I may need to wait another year because I really wasn't sure like what it was going to be like as far as on the teaching end. And I've got other things I'm doing as far as like in ministry with helping with the youth and doing small groups at the church. So I'm very glad that I didn't like try to take on the coaching thing with the Little League this year. I do still kind of have a place for it in my heart, like going forward. But I just know that with everything got going on at school too, that I just can't imagine also processing trying to do the like helping with the coaching thing right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be tough.
Yeah, I'd say it would. I mean, you've talked about it. I would love to get into. I coached middle school, well, not middle school basketball, but sixth, seventh grade for a year. I don't know, 6, 7 years ago now. Uh, I love it, and my plan. I just wanted to do like that, like that grade, sixth, seventh grade, something where they're old enough to where you're not having to worry about like not necessarily that you shouldn't worry about it, but a little bit more advanced than just teaching basics, but also at an age where they can get a lot better in a shorter amount of time if you are teaching them stuff. I like that age, that whole teaching aspect, and like watching them get better instead of the whole. There's not as many X's and O's at that age you have to deal with, and not that I mean I would like that part too. I think, but developing players is something I really enjoyed. And I would love to get back into doing something like that. Maybe a travel team would be. I would love to do that. Uh, I don't know that I'll ever get the opportunity, but that would be something I would really like to do. But that one question leads me into my other question. I was going to ask you. One of the topics I was going to bring up. Travel ball is blowing up today. Like it's every sport. They seem like they play all year round. Um, I was talking to somebody about this the other day about how you know if you're going to do multiple sports, you really can't do multiple travel sports because they all run into each other. It seems, but I know people do it and pull it off. But one kid, they were telling me, plays softball 75, 80% of the year. Well, if she's going to play basketball, travel ball, how does what I mean? It seems like it's getting to be a lot. What are your thoughts in general about not if it's too much, but just the way it's exploded over the last I don't know 10 years, I guess, maybe less.
Yeah, I mean, it really has as far as like what it was when I was growing up, and I'm sure like when you was, growing up as well. Um, it's a lot different. I don't even remember travel ball being a thing, but now I'm, McCann County. Uh, I'm just not sure that there's a whole lot of teams doing it out that way anyway. There they may have been, and I just wasn't good enough anyway. So, not to mention that I don't, you know, growing up, I only participated mostly in football. So, and I think that's even harder to find as far as like travel ball in.
Yeah,
But as far as like the topic of travel ball, I mean, it can provide a lot of um, like good opportunities, I feel like. So especially like getting to play some competition outside of your, sphere of like your county or whatever, I guess. Um, and it provides like a little community for kids that are a part of something. Um, Now, I do think that in some ways, I think personal development uh, sometimes gets left behind. And I know we talked about this, I think, with maybe Mark or Neil, maybe both, when we had them on for the Porch Talk and stuff. And like your opinion and their opinions I value a lot because you all competed at like, you know, like at a very high level. I never did. And so I try to listen to other people that have done that, that know what they're talking about. And I just think that where travel ball can be fun, it can provide opportunities and provide a community. I just hope that the personal development of things uh, doesn't get left behind. And that's that's my thing. And so, but I think there's obviously good and with anything. I mean, if you did personal development and you never got out to be, in a community of people and be with a team, I'm sure that would have drawbacks as well. So, hopefully, when all these teams, especially in the area right here, like when they get to high school and they have their high school team, hopefully that becomes the top priority, because I feel like there's probably nothing more special than competing for a state title.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
I mean, I think that's the main thing. That we were growing up, we wanted to have a better team. I think I think it's fine to have to obviously want to make yourself better. I just feel like the people I was with when we were playing, we wanted to get better, but it was we always said, which is our parents told us this, when y'all stick together now. When you get older, you'll have a good team. I love the travel ball aspect. Like I said, I played BBF for since second grade to seventh grade. So like I love it. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't play all year round. Uh, we played. There's a stretch of like whatever the stretch time is where we played every weekend. But I think personally, if I had a kid, I would be more apt to make sure they. I think the practice part at a certain point becomes a little more important than the weekend tournaments. If you're having a travel team and you're going every weekend and playing, you're not getting any better necessarily just by playing. You can get more experience and you can get some game experience, and that I'm sure that can help you get better. And I'm not sure what age this kind of changes, but I know for younger kids, I feel like the practice and the development and the basic skills and the fundamental stuff, if you're not doing that during the week for a practice, I don't see the point in going every week and playing. That was the good thing about the BBF was we were all from basically the same area. We had a couple, well, when I played, we didn't really have but like one kid from Van Zandt, I think, but I know some guys from Hurley played with the groups behind me. Um, we all kind of were from the same area, so it was easy for us to get together and practice. And our practices consisted of a lot of just fundamental stuff from the like, and we did the same stuff, just a little bit more advanced every year. And we would practice 3 or 4 days a week. If we didn't do all that, I don't feel like it would have mattered if how much we went play. We never would have got any better. That's the problem I see with a lot of it is people are going to play and they think they're taking their kids to playing these things and they're paying a lot of money and they're doing a lot of traveling. They're not getting any better in a lot of situations. Some kids are, but also those kids probably have parents that make them work on fundamental stuff at home. Uh, well, that's the basketball part of it. Like the baseball part of it, I know practice has got to be important, but playing can help with that. I mean, obviously some too. It's weird to me because I've heard a story about a kid that didn't play for the school's actual baseball team for during All Stars because they were playing travel ball, and I don't know how that sets up for. Like I get it to an extent because you want that high level competition. I guess what the reason was, I don't know. It's nobody. I wasn't around the whole situation by any means. I don't know these people. This is like I said. This is like second, third person story. But is it competing for your school? Even at that age, wouldn't that be the main goal there to make sure that you're doing that? I just find that weird. What do you think about it?
yeah. Well, I want to say like two things. Uh, First, I do agree with you on the fundamental thing, and I do agree with the practice stuff. It kind of hits home close to me because my stepson plays travel ball, and shout out to the Bristol Base Sliders. That's where he plays for. and they practice 2 times a week, even out in Bristol. And his dad, they do a great job over there with that squad, and we've already seen like huge amounts of improvement from the last season to this past tournament they just had. So shout them out real quick. But I will also say to your point about especially when they get to high school and it's like, skipping out on like high school stuff for the travel ball stuff. I personally, I'm going to side with the high school stuff because I just feel like uh, that's where I would like to see their loyalty like kind of go to. Um, and I think those are kids that you go to school with, school pride. I still believe in that. Not to say that like, I think we all like uh the rivalries and stuff like that. I don't ever want to get like too bad blood or anything, but we like that and we grew up in that. Uh, but I will just say this, just to be fully transparent. I didn't grow up with a travel team. Some of these kids today, I feel like, are growing up with a travel team, and it's almost like the travel team they have, and like, I don't know, 8U or whatever, is the same travel team they have as a senior in high school. And so I personally would prefer that they lean towards their high school, but I can also be, I guess, transparent and say, I guess if they played with that team from a AU all the way up to a senior, I'm sure they probably feel like their loyalties are with them too. I don't understand. I can't say I understand that because I've never been in it.
Yeah,
But me personally, I would wish and hope that, because I'm a fan of just school pride and
yeah.
them taking pride in that, I wish it would go there.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not telling anybody they're doing the wrong thing. I just find that weird. That you were play for like the regular season for a school, and then you end up not playing like the regular school team because you're doing travel. But I guess as long as they're getting it out and getting something out of it, and they're getting better, that's what's really important, I guess. But I just find that weird. You didn't used to hear about that. Oh, I mean, it was like I said, we didn't really have travel baseball as much around here as we do now. Um, but they
I do
all
want to say this.
go ahead.
Can I say this real quick? Just before if you happen to go to another point, I meant to say this because you mentioned that you really enjoy. Uh, Not only do you think it's important and vital coaching the fundamentals, but you also, as a coach, when you coach them, you enjoyed that as well. Like you said, you enjoyed the X's
Yeah,
and O's, but you love player development. Me personally, that's how I feel too. Like whenever I was able to coach, and even whenever, if I ever am blessed enough to do it again, the X's and O's are fun and all. Like the winning is fun and all. I mean, yeah, we want to win. But I love going out there and watching the players. Like the ball's going over here. I love watching the players that are fighting on the line of scrimmage, looking to see where their hands are, looking to see if it's, in tie and they're driving when they tackle, like where's their pad level. Like I love those fundamental things. And my thing is, where I guess the fear would be, I think you've kind of said this too, is that if you get to where you're just chasing wins and losses. Well, chasing wins, I guess, but you're just getting wins and losses on the weekends, but you're not getting those important things throughout the week. Are you getting better or
yeah,
are you just a part of something, which is fine, which is important too, but you
yeah,
don't want to lose the player development. I just wanted
yeah.
to say that before you.
No, I agree with you. And as far as winning goes, like I feel like you got to try to win it. I'm sure there's a situation and a circumstance where at an age level where it's not obviously not the most important thing, but I feel like you should still tell them it's the important because I feel like it's a bad slippery slope to get down that winning's not what you're trying to do. But I get at a certain age, obviously. But my thing too is like, well, we had when I was playing BBF, we had a team that we played against in a lot of tournaments that were from around our area. I think they were the Black Diamond Blue Devils. We had a couple, I think at least one. It was Logan Shores played with them. So instead of BBF, he played on it. And they had some guy, him and a guy from Hayside, Council. I think Kent played when he was at Council. I think Jake Colley was from Hayside. He played on it. And I mean, obviously it didn't hurt them guys because that's, obviously Jake's one of the best players I ever played against, and Logan and Kent were great. So it didn't hurt them. But I also know that they had at home people teaching them those fundamentals. I think where people slip through is, and it's not any fault of the parents if they don't know what to teach these kids, or if it's hard to make time for it. But when you're doing all that and you're traveling and you're playing, if your parents don't know the game very much, then you're not getting that in a practice. Where you're going to get it at? You know what I mean? Like I could have went and played and not practiced because my dad obviously knows the game, and I had that family basketball history where I was still going to learn it. A lot of kids don't have that, and I think that's some of the problem. Is it's just, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I just think it's interesting, some of this dynamic that goes on in these travel tournaments and stuff. Uh, but anyway, we'll get off of that subject unless you got anything else.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, one, like Mark had mentioned, I think on the podcast, he said, you can do you can do your practices just like anybody else would, and you can be a fine player if you're already just if you have that God-given talent, yeah, you're going to do well, especially at the high school level or at the local level. But if you want to see your game take another step, it's that work that you do when you're not practicing.
Yeah,
And not only that, but you mentioned with the parents and stuff like that. And I understand that because like for me, I don't know a whole lot about baseball. I don't feel very equipped to help my oldest on a lot of that stuff. His dad's fantastic with it. Um, but when it comes to like even basketball, I never really played basketball a whole lot, but I helped coach my youngest one's team. Um, and I would just say this, and I've kind of picked up on this. Shout out to, and I don't know if she's watching this, but shout out to Amy Smith out here at Honaker. She is a fantastic coach in the sports and stuff she works with. But her daughters, they're young, but they are terrific athletes. And I remember, I don't know if I was talking to her or if I was talking to one of them, but they talked about how they would just walk around the house and dribble all the time. And so I think I would just say this, like even as a parent, if you feel like that, well, I don't know how to teach them to do a crossover, I don't know how to teach them how to bunt or like how to do some of these things, like even something simple, like just have them walk around with the ball and dribbling. Like you'd be surprised at just getting them familiar with something what would help them. And of course, it would be nice to adapt and learn those other things too. Uh, but you'd be surprised that just, and I'm speaking to myself. If I just had like my son, like maybe quit watching TV for a second and let him walk around with the ball, like what that would do for him going forward in sports. So I would just say that like there could be something that if your son or daughter is playing something and you feel like you don't know what to do, just give them something simple like that. And I think that repetitions that you'd be surprised how much that'll help them in the future.
yeah. One more thing, I will admit that just the whole practice thing I was talking about being important and maybe not playing as much. You can also have a coach that doesn't know what they're doing either and teaches terrible habits. And if you're teaching that, then those kids may end up getting good at shooting with the wrong form. You can be a good shooter and have terrible form. That's true. Uh, so also that's another thing, a whole another dynamic of it that you know. I say that about practicing and making sure that's an important thing and doing that instead of playing, but also if who you're playing for, if you're teaching, if they're getting taught bad habits and bad stuff, like what do? You know what I mean? It's a hard, it's a weird slippery slope, I guess. There's right, like I said, there's no right or wrong. I mean, people can figure it out for themselves. But it's funny you sent me a text earlier today, and I'd seen it 3 times this week I meant to send it to you every time, and I forgot. But the fighting, the I can't remember what it's called, something in the cage or whatever. It's at the Bristol Casino.
Yeah, Cage Fury, I think is what
Yeah,
it was,
Cage
maybe.
Fury, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, that'd be really cool to go to.
hmm
Secondly, did you ever go to anything around here? Any of those local fights that used to be put on?
Not in MMA. Now I did. We went to Redneck Brawl there many years ago. I think it was actually Barstool's first ever one that, like after they took ownership over the first ever one they done. I will say this. Um, Shout out to my buddy at church, Thomas Van Dyke. He is MMA fighter, and I think he told me, and I'm not sure the exact date. I want to say in September, but they're supposed to have one. I think in the Richlands area or somewhere in the Tazewell County area.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned me going there and helping with that. And so I've not been to one local. So I'm excited to go to that. Maybe even looking into going to the Cage Fury thing. I think that'd be cool. I have saw, of course, a UFC fight in Louisville, and I'm still stand by as an avid football fan. I still stand by that UFC event was maybe the best sporting event I've ever been to in my life. So
No, you're not been to the right game. I feel like, but I can see
you
it
just,
being. I can see it being amazing.
you,
Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, you
I
need to
don't know
go.
that I'm going to say that's
Yeah.
it would be the best ever. I got a funny story about a local one. There was one at Tazewell. I was in college at the time, and they had it up at Tazewell. And I guess the dude that was supposed to fight, I guess the guy he was supposed to fight didn't show up, and I guess they were looking around the room looking for people that were like maybe close to the same weight class or something. I guess so. They come over to me. Is like, hey, we'll give you this much money, fight this dude. I think they offered me like $300 or something crazy because he'd come from a pretty good ways away. He just wanted to get a fight in. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I've never done that before. That's kind of odd. I think we went during it wasn't during basketball season, but we were. It was I guess it was the fall, so we were doing workout stuff, and we were leading up to it. Cut season coming up. I was like, I don't know, get hurt something. That'd be a bad story to tell. Why I broke something, you know what I mean? And I was like almost on the verge of doing it though. I was like, $300 is a lot of money. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I get, maybe if I get knocked out, whatever. Like, never been knocked out, but people get up from it. As long as I don't break anything. I looked over at the dude that was gonna have to be fighting, and I'm talking like just jacked dude. Just, I mean, but he was
Yeah.
probably 6 inches shorter than me, but probably weighed more than me because I wasn't fat like I am now at the time, but I wasn't skinny. But this dude was like short, stocky, boulder of a dude, and was warming up. And I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm out." But I always regretted
Uh,
it. I always wished just at one time, even if I'd have got knocked out in the first 10 seconds, I always wish I would have just done it that one time just to say I did it. But have you ever thought about, not now, obviously, I'm assuming not now, but did you ever think
uh,
about getting into anything like that or trying it?
yeah. First off, I've never heard that story, and I've been around you for
I don't,
years.
it's
Uh,
it's an old one. It's from way
yeah,
back. It's from like 2007, I think,
yeah,
eight.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Um, you know, I guess I'm trying to think how old I was. It was out of high school. I was getting heavy into like lifting and stuff like that, and it wasn't. I don't know that I ever really thought about getting in the cage, but I did go one time to a little MMA gym, and at the time I think it was over in Belfast. Dylan Smith, I think he still has a gym. I think in Lebanon now. Um, and they were fantastic. I only went there like one time, but they were like super nice. I walked in and they were uh like just all in on helping me with everything. And the reason why I went was just I was really into like working out and exercising, and I was like, you know what? I would love to learn jujitsu for one, but two, uh I just know the cardio that you get from that would be insane. So quick story. We ended up like they showed me how to do some striking, and we rolled around on some other stuff. How to like break guard and stuff like that. But we like wrestled for a little bit, and the person I wrestled was like a high school kid. I think at Richlands at the time. I don't know. He may have been like maybe 15 or something. I'm telling you, Jay Moore, that minute or so that I walked up with him and was wrestling, I thought I was gonna die. Like I really did.
Yeah.
And there is something different about like going against somebody else's will. Like it's just there's something about that. And so whatever thought that I maybe even would have even like the tiniest shred of consideration to like fighting just to say I did it or whatever, went out the door when I realized how awful that was.
Yeah,
So, and I never did
yeah,
go back there, not because of that, just, stand, like, I'm not going to go pay for
yeah,
something when,
yeah.
I'm
I mean, I
so,
don't think I ever would have been a great fighter. I always liked the idea of maybe trying to pursue something like that. I just don't like the idea of getting hit in the face. So it never did. I don't think it would have been for me. There was I can't remember who the guy was in high school. They were talking about fighting one time, and not fighting like that kind of fighting, just street fighting. And I can't remember. We were on a bus maybe, and we're talking about it. But he was like, "You can't." He said, "You go to Grundy." He said, "You can't pick a fight with none of them dudes." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Because you don't know which one's going to knock you out, and you don't know which one's going to take you down and tie you up like a pretzel." He's like, that was his rule. He said, "You do not go down to Grundy and get in a fight because you don't know if it's a wrestler or not." So that was his main thing. He said he'll go over anywhere else and fight, he'll even get beat up if he don't care. But he's like, you cannot go down there because you just never know which one you're messing with. And I always remembered that. I was like, anybody wants him tries to fight me, they're from Grundy, just be aware. Dude will take you down and just do whatever they want. So
yeah.
that's
I'll
kind of
say
like what
this
you.
too. And it's not like completely off topic because I just saw it today. But I wanted to say, 'cause you talking about Granny Wrestling, I wanted to shout out Fred and Cody off of Fresh Off the Clock. I don't know if you saw, but they
Yeah,
they won. Yeah, they got on the Granny
yeah.
mats or the not Granny mats, the Southern Gap.
Oh yeah, you better be
Um,
careful. You're going to edit that
I'm
out for
sorry,
sure.
I'm sorry. Yeah, uh, they got on the Southern Gap mats over there. I think. Angie McClanahan, I believe,
Yeah,
gave him a tour of the facility, and that was a pretty entertaining fight that they had, or wrestling match rather. But it was cool seeing those guys in their neck of the woods. Um,
yeah,
that was neat.
yeah. They get around everywhere, man. Them and then the Mountain
Yeah,
Mojo, uh,
yeah,
those guys. I mean, there's a bunch now that they're ever. It seems
yeah,
like they're all over the place. Um,
yeah,
and except for us, we don't get out like we used to. But
yeah,
uh, Southern Gap, that was a good segue into something else we got to talk about. We're not gonna go in depth about like football and all this stuff. Just we'll save that for like a Porch Talk episode. But we can talk about it a little bit. But you've not got a chance to go yet. Hopefully this weekend. But what are your thoughts? You're hearing what you've seen from videos and stuff. What's just your first impressions of everything really from the game Friday night to the pictures of the field and everything like that.
yeah. I mean, um, it's crazy. Like I just, remember years ago, like when it was just tossed around. And I'm sure I feel like the way I feel, I'm sure is how a lot of people in McCann County feel. Um, we heard about it for so long, so just to finally see it, and I've not got to see it in person, but even just to see it in pictures is just wild. It really is. But I'm super happy uh, for that community to get something like, and I've not been in the schools. I'm not going to talk about the football field. To get something like that for them to be proud of because it is one of the best football fields, I feel like, high school wise, like anywhere around in their area. Um, so that's cool, first and foremost. And those kids get to go on that and play on that. That's awesome. As far as the team specifically, like talking about what we've seen so far and maybe what's like looking ahead for Friday, I feel like that was a good win against Holston. It's good to kind of get that W to start the year off. Um, and there's always just something about like if you don't get it, then it's always like, well, when are we gonna get it? And that's kind of looming over your head. So I think it's good to kind of go ahead and get that. I do think that just like with probably any team going into their first game of the season, we're probably going to have this same discussion with any of them next week. You always have a lot of those mental mistakes, just those even fundamental mistakes, because it's one thing to practice it, and I know Coach Castor is probably I mean, that crew they got over there, that staff, they know how to run a practice, and I'm sure they have them well equipped. But it's still different until you actually get to go out there and compete against another team and work out some kinks and stuff. So I feel like that we saw some of that Friday night, probably from them and Holston. But going into Ridgeview, the margin of error is, so much smaller. I mean, Ridgeview is a great team. I watched the scrimmage last week between them and Lebanon, and I just feel like they got a lot of depth. Um, they can pass the ball well. Their defense did a great job last week at stopping the running game for Lebanon. And so, going into Friday, that's what Southern Gap likes to do. And Ridgeview is really good at stopping it. So it'll be an interesting,
Yeah.
thing to see. But I mean, the one thing that's cool, and I sent it to you earlier, uh, they got a big old trophy now,
Mm-hmm.
for that game. And so and you were there last week, so you could definitely talk about it more. But it sounded like there was a good bit of people up there for the first game. Well, I can't imagine what it's going to be like Friday because I'm sure Ridgeview will bring a crowd as well. So I'd say it's going to be a packed house.
Yeah. I will say this for anybody that's still listening this far into the show. If you are going to a game at Southern Gap, buy tickets online. It just saves you a lot of time, apparently. Uh, just that's my advice. Buy them online. They go through obviously like a regular game, scan them. If you got to stay in line for tickets, there's just one gate and two people taking up money and selling them, and so it's a little bit of a funnel. You don't ain't no really. I can't. It's just one single file line. So, uh, if I would say give that advice out. The other thing that I noticed about it is, first of all, it's amazing scenery up there. Just the sky, like you're on top of the mountain, so what Dad was talking about. He's like you can see everything coming, storms coming. You can see forever. There was we watched a storm, a rain cloud come in for what seemed like an hour before it ever finally got over the school. Uh, Super nice facility. I'm not sure about the parking yet. I don't know if they don't have all of the parking lots finished or if it was just going. It's always going to be like that for crowds. Um, I think they're still figuring some of this stuff out. Like I said, kinks and what to do, what not to do, how can we make it better. It wasn't bad, I mean, just like you're going anywhere. I walked a lot less of a distance to, up there Friday than I have at Lebanon before, or if we've had to go to a game at you go to a game at Bullet Park. If you're not there 3 hours for the game, you're walking a long way. So, like this, any of those places that are packed out. Uh, I don't want to ramble too much about it, but um, I do hope that the support continues all throughout the year, and that crowd is always a good crowd because you're going to have some people probably that first week that want to go see the school and see everything that might not be like diehard football fans, that just are there. So I hope the crowd stays up, and regardless of their wins and losses, hopefully this whole year they get that support. Because they play a pretty tough schedule as far as I mean, it's not a I don't want to say it's a tough schedule because people are going to be like, well, they're 2A and they're playing these many single A schools. Yeah, they're a 2A school, but the three schools that they combine together are three teams. They've combined four schools. I mean, get that out there because you're going to have people saying, oh, it's not three schools, it's four schools. Three football teams that they put together. I would imagine that if those three schools were still playing this year, I would think that a combined total of wins of more than five between the three of them was probably be a good year. I don't think Twin Valley would have been. They might have won a game somewhere. I don't know if they would have even had enough to have a team. Hurley was borderline. I think not going to have a team like last year. It seems like they probably if they say they win two or three. Don't know what kind of schedule Grundy had. They had a tough one last year. So if their schedule was difficult and they were going to be low on numbers this year, and I think they lost graduated some good players. I think 5 or 6 wins between three teams was probably going to be good. It's a building year for them basically. and you get thrown into the fire of being a 2A school, and you're kind of building still, and you got young players, not a lot of seniors. The program's going in the right direction, but that schedule, man, you got Ridgeview week 2, people picking them one of the picks to win the Mountain 7. Then you have Honaker on there. That's people picking them to win the Hogahigi, them and Chilhowie one. You got Eastside Right Cove on there. One of those teams are probably going to be in the region championship game, if not playing each other. Just depends on how things fall. And so your single A competition, as far as is pretty daggone good teams you're playing. So then you throw in, Riverview. I don't know what they have. You throw in Giles, not sure how good they are. And then you just got, it's not an easy schedule by no means, but it could be a lot harder. You could have a Graham in there, like they will have at some point. But I just think people's expectations for this team this year, and I know the people who say this probably don't know a lot about football, but all you hear is, well, they got 42 kids and they're 2A, they should be, whatever. I don't care how many kids you have on the team. You can only play 11 on the field at one time. It's great to have that many kids and you have depth, but you have to have a quality of depth to be able to take people in and out. So for anybody out there that thinks that this team's just going to be like really, really good off the jump, it's not necessarily going to be a year where they're projected to win 8, 9, 10 games. They could. Don't get me wrong. I don't know what they're going to turn into. I'm not saying they're going to lose a lot of those games. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I guess this is more for people who are out there thinking this stuff. I think people need to just kind of realize what's going on. But I wish them all the best. I mean, obviously, I hope they win every game here on out. I just don't think realistically you're going to get that year one with the 3. Now, if you'd consolidated a Twin Valley team that was expected to win, a lot of games, and a Hurley team that was going to be really, really good, and a Grundy team that was going to win it, that'd be different. Then you'd say, okay, these are 3 really good football teams that you're putting together, kind of like a Pound and Appalachia. Everybody expected Union to be really, really good from day one because it's Pound and Appalachia. I don't think you could expect that with where these 3 were at with their numbers and how the previous years have been going. But anyway, I went on a bit long rant there, but I just wanted to get that out there because I feel like there's too high expectations, not from everybody, but I've heard certain people say it, and I just don't think it's fair to them. But the pressure is probably going to be on them anyway from being a new school this year. But I hope they come out and, like I said, I hope they impress.
Well, I think too, and I think really like the heart of that too is like as a fan base, don't give up on them. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that's really the heart of that is like, um, yeah, I know you want to see them do well, and I hope they do well. I'm sure the fans hope they do well. But if you do have some hiccups, understand that that's part of it. I mean, you're like you just said, you're year one into this, and I'm sure Coach Tester and that staff's not going to go into a single game where they expect to lose. However, I do think that year one, um, I'm sure by the end of this year, no matter wins or losses, I'm sure that staff will be like, we want we wanted to set the culture, and hopefully that is what happened. So that way, going on to the next few years, and Coach Tester's done a great job with that at Hurley when he was there. He had high numbers, I feel like, as far as like in the weight room. He had kids bought in, and that's what you need. I feel like more than anything, if you come out of this year and you win 6 or 7 games, if you win more, if you win less, hopefully you ended the year with a team that fought hard every game, a culture that is set in stone that you can build on, and a fan base that is committed and weathers the storm and comes out and supports them through this process. Like don't give up on them.
yeah. Speaking of crowds, though, it's going to be really, really crowded Friday night. Uh, I mean, if I keep wanting to say Twin Valley, if Southern Gap has anywhere near the same amount of people on their side, and Ridgeview is probably going to bring all of Dickinson County with them. Um, and they're playing for, like you said, the big Cole Trophy, whatever it's called, the Cole Classic, which is an awesome looking trophy. Um, it's going to be a really, really, really cool environment Friday night. Let's just say that. I don't care what the score is. With, at kickoff, that's going to be a really cool place to be. I feel like for that moment. If and I'm telling you, people better get there early if they want to get in for kickoff because it's going to be. I got a feeling it's going to be packed. I will say this: I feel like I was really negative in that rant, and I didn't mean to be. Um, I just, you know, obviously Coach Tester and the coaching staff. As a coach, you expect to win every game. That's how you should feel. I feel like my rant was more about some of these fans that don't maybe necessarily get it. I guess, and it's not like I said. It's probably the minority. I've just heard a few people talk about it, but they could win some games this year that they shouldn't win, and they could lose some games they shouldn't lose either. You know what I'm saying? So it's every year. It's not just this year. But I do think the future looks pretty bright for them. There's some standout dudes on that out there that you see. A lot of good young players. Uh, Say some seniors that are very, very good too pop off. Like some of them linemen, I was very impressed. Um, the whole team. You can just tell they all play hard. Obviously, that's one great thing about it. But so we'll stay on the football topic since you have a Honaker shirt on and you're teaching at Honaker. What are the vibes at Honaker? I know you're in the elementary school, but obviously they got a lot of high expectations this year with quarterback coming back. That was fantastic last year as a freshman.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I think there's a lot of high expectations on them this year just because of that breakout season from him last year. I heard a lot of good things. Heard the line looks really good. Heard they got maybe some guys from down the road that come up and playing some ball in orange this year instead of another color. Uh, but I mean, people talking about them being one of the teams to win the Hoga which is Chilhowee is going to be really good too. I think. But every time you get mentioned to win your district and having a chance at winning region, obviously people are expecting good things. But what's the vibe, if any, at the middle school? Does it do you pick up on anything being a teacher there? That
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, some stuff for sure, and probably more so just because I'm a fan of the
Yeah,
sport, more so than maybe just being in the middle school. But and maybe as far as like some of like the roster stuff you're talking about, I can't say that I know a whole lot about that part because I don't see it because I don't see those kids, right?
right.
But I will say that, well, I'll say this too. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Connor Wallace. He's a part of the coaching staff up there too. So I do get to hear some stuff through there, just stuff that, uh, his excitement and stuff for the year. But I do think the expectations are there, and like there is a lot of excitement. I do think that um, for them, and I know the East Side's not in the Hookahigi, but um, it does help somewhat that where there is excitement here, and there are people expecting big things. It's like they're not the team that the area is expecting to go to state. And that's not to say I think they can make it there, but I think that when you carry that weight, like it does add a little bit more pressure. And East Side, I feel like they've got that on them, and rightfully so. I mean, they've got everybody back. Coach Rhodes does a fantastic job over there. I'm super excited to see what they do this year. But I think they are definitely the team that's coming in with the expectations more so than anybody. But I do think that as far as what Honeka can bring, uh, man, I mean, the passing attack was amazing last year. You mentioned it. Parker's great. Coach Lowe does a fantastic job there. The receiving group is great. Shout out Levi Honaker. His mom works down there at the middle school with me, and I think he's gotten bigger and stronger, and he's been putting on. He put on a lot of good games last year. Had a lot of great stats, and I think even in the scrimmage, him and I was trying to think of the other dude that they had at receiver. Um, cannot think of it off the top of my head right now, but he caught like two or three touchdown passes, I think, last week. They've got weapons, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to pair up with Parker. The line looks good. Defense, I think, has been very active. I just think there's a lot of uh, things to be excited about. Um, but like I said, first game, it's a rivalry. I mean, playing against Lebanon in the Cold Bowl, you just never know what could happen. And it's like that. It don't matter. I mean, when you have two teams like that that know each other so well in a big game like that, especially at the beginning of the year when things are still getting worked out, mistakes happen, you really don't know what you could come up with. Now, obviously, I'm a Honecker Tiger now, so I'm throwing my hat in and I can do this. That I'm thinking that Honecker will win, and I'm hoping Honecker will win. I want to be able to go to school tomorrow and not get ran out of my classroom. So that is first and foremost. I do think that we'll do well Thursday night. But yeah, I'm excited for it, and I think really I mean, they do have potential to go pretty far this year. I
Yeah.
really do think they got the roster for it.
One more thing on Honaker. Do you like the new entrance?
Yeah, man. I noticed that like a while back, because they play at the middle school. And so I noticed they were like planting the things out there and stuff. And so I saw that last week, and I think that's awesome. I mean, I love that. And
I,
we got the new field too.
I'm not.
So,
I'll tell you. My first thought was, I'm not sure how I feel about the Clemson walk down the hill into a Virginia Tech Inner Sandman running out thing. That's kind of odd pairing, but it looked really cool. But anyway, uh, also talking about single A for a minute. Rye Cove beating. I don't know what Lord Botetourt has this year, but 3A school, Rye Cove getting a win. Talk about East Side. Yeah, on paper, East Side should be the outright favorite to win the region this year, but they've had a little bit of a hiccup against Rye Cove here the last couple of years. I mean, I'm not sure people are kind of overlooking Rye Cove also a little bit because Eastside, rightfully so, what they have back should be the favorite. But you got a Honaker in there, you got a Chilhowie in there, and a Rye Cove in there that I wouldn't count any of them out. I mean, any given night, you never know who. So, also, speaking of Rye Cove, I think today our boy Landon, I think it's his birthday. I think.
no,
I
yeah,
think so.
shout out.
I may be wrong on that, but I think I seen that. So happy birthday to him. If he's still listening, I'm not sure if we lost him or not, but it's been so long since we've
Yeah.
had one. All right, I got one more football related question, and you don't have to go into a lot of detail about it. I want to know what your prediction for the final record of your Niners this year. We're going to skip over your college team. We're not going to talk about that team on my show, so we're skipping over that. But
Oh,
your
yeah.
Niners final record and some thoughts you think this year about how things will go.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to give a number. I'd have to sit here and look at the schedule, but we'll just like throw out, I feel like 11, 12 games, I think is doable and I think reasonable. Like with any year, especially with us, probably more so than anybody's, it depends on injuries. That's a big, big thing. Now, last year we had more injuries, I feel like, than anybody, and we still did very well. And so we could still do that. Um, but man, when you get into the playoffs, like you don't have those pieces, you get throttled like you did last year against Seattle. And Seattle had a fantastic year. Their defense was amazing, so they could have beat us anyway. Um, but when you just don't have all those guys, like those big time players like Warner, Bosa, it hurts. I'll just say this because I want to get into because I can sit here and talk about it all night. We have weapons for Purdy, and that's huge. In the last 2 years, in terms of wide receiver separation, we were last in the league in the last 2 years, but still yet Purdy was number one and like deep throws, especially intermediate throws, I think as well when it comes to percentage. So I think with what we've had, I think that they've done the best they could do with what we had. But now we've got Evans. We've got that Stribling guy that just came in. He's been tearing it up. We've got Debo. We're going to get Kittle back. Got McCaffrey. We've got weapons. So there's really no excuse at defense. The most excited I am about anything is having Dre Greenlaw back because him and Warner being back together gives a certain swagger back to the defense. So I'm excited for the football season. I'm sure you're excited, especially as your team just dropped some cool new uniforms.
I'm not.
So I think that,
I try my best to not get excited
yeah,
anymore, but
you do like the uniforms. I mean,
at first glance, I think I do.
yeah,
I got to see a little more of it. I kind
yeah.
of seen it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I've not really given a lot of thought yet. But if I had to go from my first glance, I think they're cool looking. So I'll know more about it once I see them on a field, and I see how it goes. But
Better than the Jaguars spotted pants.
I mean, anything's better than the Jaguars. Anything. So
Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense.
All right. Last question. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I don't think so. But I will say this before we get off here, just because there was a few things I did want to say. First and foremost, even the episodes like that I'm not a part of, I'm super excited to listen to you get on here, and I'm glad this is up and going. And I hope God, I don't hope I know that people are gonna listen to it because I mean, just throwing out a post when you was at the game last week drew a lot of intrigue, and that says something, especially when there is all these other shows out there, and it's like it would be really easy to like throw something out there like you did last week, and then people would just be like, "Well, that's just another sports show." But no, like there was people that remembered and that they like watched us and grew close to us as followers, and and they were excited. I mean, and it wasn't even like it was just a picture of the football field. Um, but you had people asking, and so I just want to say first off that it's really cool and I'm excited to listen to it. And anytime I get to be part of it, super excited for it. I think it's going to provide something different, just like some honest conversation. So, and while I think that giving the kids their airtime is super important, and I feel like we did that uh, very well when we done it, and there's a lot of other pages that are doing that now. I feel like there needs to be a spot for just some uh, honest conversation about teams and just sports talk. Kind of like you used to have. What was that old the website that used to have like the sports pick'ems on them? You
Uh,
remember what I'm talking about? I
there's
know
been
somebody
there's
out
been
here listening
there's
to this.
been so many different websites that I'm not sure how far back you want to go.
Well, I mean, like when I was going through high school, I remember there was like some pretty big ones on there, or one big website that I can't remember what it was
I'll
called.
tell you that the big one that was very controversial and got people really riled up a lot when I was playing was, I think it was called Virginia Preps. You remember that?
I know of Virginia Press. I don't think that was the one I'm
Hey,
thinking of,
there's been
but
a lot of
you know,
what's it called when the KD has when you have an account, but it's
burner accounts.
I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of I think there was a lot of burners on that
yeah,
anonymous post that were being made that
yeah.
got people a little angry about certain things.
Upset.
That's more of a
Yeah.
basketball thing. I think there was something about the Southwest Virginia sports or
I
something
think
that was a
that's what I'm.
football. Yeah,
I
that was
think
more
that's what I'm
football. Yeah.
remembering. Yeah, and I know I'm not saying that you want to get on anybody on here to have necessarily like arguments or whatever, but what I'm saying is that I think there is a place there for someone to just be real, to like sit down and have a conversation. And it doesn't even end up having to like go to football, but you getting somebody on and just the conversation going wherever. I think to have the sports elements into it, I think it's something that's good for the area to have. But also before I get off here, I do want to say, um, and you already mentioned, I'm shouting out to like Mountain Mojo, Towers Talking Sports, to Fresh Off the Clock, that they're, still doing that stuff. But I wanted to shout out especially Fresh Off the Clock before I left off here because two things. One, Fred Minko, we talked about my third hour podcast. He came on there. And for you guys that are watching this that know of Fred, know of Fresh Off the Clock, Go check out that episode. It is so great to hear about Fred and some of his story, him share his faith. It's amazing. But not only that, but they just did I think a clothing drive, or a food drive, clothing drive thing. Go check that out, guys. Like, that's one thing that I really respect that they do is that they are out there giving coverage to the sports and athletes, but they've done a really good job of getting into the community and doing these outreach things. And I just think that's amazing. So I wanted to shout that out too. Um, Other than that, I don't have anything. I don't think, I'm sure there'll be something afterwards. I'm like, oh,
I mean,
shout out to all of our buddies.
oh yeah, uh,
I meant to wear, the construction hat tonight, Logan's hat. It just now hit me.
yeah,
Shout out to them too.
yeah. We had, I mean, what was it? 3 hours of a draft Saturday.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of back and forths and opinions about things, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Also appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being my first guest, being the guinea pig of this. I'm not sure if people will want to, because you mentioned them messaging us and asking us about if we were going to put out an episode, and that was really cool to actually have people ask. But I'm not sure they're going to want to see just me. But we're going to find out how that goes
I think
moving
they will.
forward. But hopefully, at some point, we can get a Porch Talk episode in and record one. Um, what? How do we want to announce this thing about the not announce it, but like we talked about sending us messages? How would we talked about this? If somebody wants to send the Porch Talk a message and ask a question, we might cover it on here. Is that all they got to do is
Yeah.
just
So,
send a message to our
um,
Facebook?
yeah. So I'll go ahead and I think that you could do it two different ways. So if anybody has made it to this point, and I think you will have some people that definitely will, um, in the same mindset of, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched Friday Night Lights. And what was the show called on the Friday Night Lights? Something Sammy's, right?
Uh, the movie, I think, was it Slam and Sammy or something like that?
Might have been that. Yeah. And so I think the idea would be, people or you could even look like right now at some sports shows, like the Brandon Walker show, for example. But like they would call in, but what we're saying is like they could send an audio or they can send a written message to you and be like, hey, I think that this is going to happen Friday, or hey, what do you think, Uncle Jamar, about the Colts this year? Or hey, Uncle Jamar, what do you think about, I don't know, that UFC fight? Or hey, Uncle Jamar, what do you think about the whatever,
Yeah, just
And
get a hot take or
yeah,
something, or
yeah.
yeah, we'll
And I
figure
think
it.
the idea was for you to be able to, we could play it and you could respond to it
Yeah,
or however,
yeah, we'll figure something out. But yeah, if you have anybody wants to has like a thing, just any kind of question or anything you want to hear, like I don't know when I can work it in either. See, that'd be a thing depending on the guest.
Mhm.
Might not even be able to do this. I may do some solo episodes, just read off questions, give my take
Well,
on it.
that's the thing is like they could send it to you and then you could just respond to it. They wouldn't actually be on air per se, unless you, of course, you did have guests. Yeah, but I mean, they could send you something and you just respond to it like in a segment or whatever.
Speaking of hot
Like,
takes,
yeah.
God rest her soul, rest in peace, Dolly Parton. But I think Dolly Parton was really overrated.
Ooh,
I hate to say that on a day like this, but
too soon.
I mean, I'm just saying, as a person, she was a great
Yeah,
person. She
yeah.
had some good music. I just feel like people go a little nuts over it, and it's not as good as what I think. Yeah, this my opinion.
Not a
Just
huge fan
my
of music, but
just my
huge
opinion.
fan of the person and the charity stuff that she did and what she was
Oh
to the
yeah,
community.
great person.
I'll say
Apparently,
that.
yeah, like
Yeah,
did a lot of good work.
yeah,
Come from nothing. But rest
yeah,
in peace, Dolly Parton.
yeah.
Sad day for America, I guess. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
that'll do it. We're in an hour 14 in. Thank you, Cameron, for being our first guest. And I don't know when we'll do this again, but y'all have a good one.